Grand Rising Jedis, freedom fighters, and patriots. Boy, do I have a very special presentation today. I want to explain that despite of what I'm about to share, what's happening from behind the scenes in terms of the development of the technocratic dystopian timeline, the emergence of robotics in the workforce, something that's actually occurring without our knowledge. First and foremost, bear in mind that this is an educational channel. So I do tons of research in collaboration with my transmissions to give you guys the most thorough explanation of what's happening based on the battle between the organic timeline and the synthetic inorganic timeline. So I would just wanted to point that out. I'm going to be not only revealing what's happening from behind the scenes, that is an indicator that we're very close to the bifurcation of timelines. But I'm also going to be discussing it from a very metaphysical, spiritual perspective and from a galactic perspective. So once again, we're going to go deep tonight, guys. Are you guys get ready to get your minds blown? I hope you are. For those who don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez. I'm the author of those two amazing books. The first one is called The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, revealing the secret battle between the Alliance and the Cabal, going back to pre-biblical times. And the second one is Our Cosmic Origin, which is my groundbreaking work and my contribution in the restoration of galactic history back to humanity. And then, of course, they're both available on Amazon. Now, for my November 22nd event, again, I only had limited stream seats. So if you guys can make it in person, make sure you go to my website to access the stream. And you guys are going to get a 2-hour, 3-hour workshop altogether with Q&A about my groundbreaking class, Our Cosmic Origin 2.0. This is going to be a workshop like no other. We're going to be covering so much material that I have never shared before. So it's going to be very fascinating. Again, it's only available for 100 people. Make sure you guys access the stream. And then for those that make it in person, for $80, I'm going to see you at the Cielo Connection in Sedona, Arizona. And yes, guys, I will be providing the address. Or if you just type it in the internet, the Cielo Connection gives you the address. There's only one Cielo Connection, which, in Spanish means the heaven connection. Cielo means heaven. In either case, guys, I am excited about today's presentation. I'm going to get right into it if you guys don't mind. So yeah, we're going to go very deep tonight. So before I give you guys this thorough representation, bear in mind that there are multiple alternative Earth realities are coexisting at this time. And soon, due to a bifurcation of timelines, there will be a convergence of these multiple parallel Earth realities into only 3 timelines. You have a positive organic ascending timeline, which is where all of you guys are. So you guys don't have to worry about the technocratic dystopian negative timeline. And of course, as revealed in previous presentations, there is a middle timeline. Now, it is important to understand that recently, a gentleman, a British Canadian computer scientist, a cognitive scientist rather, and a cognitive psychologist, best known for his pioneering work on artificial neural networks, has gone public about the dangers of AI, and he's often referred to as the godfather of artificial intelligence. And I'm talking about Geoffrey Everest Hinton. Jeffrey Everest Hinton helped lay the groundwork for modern AI systems that now apparently power speech recognition, image analysis, machine translation, and even self-driving cars. But despite being one of the most influential architects of deep learning, Hinton has recently issued grave warnings about the very technology that he actually helped to bring to life. And as a result of that, he was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. So in a powerful public speech, Hinton cautioned that artificial intelligence is advancing at a speed far beyond what most policymakers and even technologists have anticipated. He actually warned that AI will soon impact every industry, and as will be revealed shortly, it already started, right? From medicine, and education to defense and global finance, disrupting not only economies, but the very structure of society. While these systems offer incredible opportunities, according to the technocrats, of course, we don't buy that. Hinton did stress that the dangers of the misuse and loss of control over the technology is growing so fast that he believes it is too late. Now, again, bear in mind that this is all leading to what I've been calling a technocratic dystopian timeline, which is currently coexisting with the organic ascension timeline. And yes, my friends, we are still steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. In either case, today is the 22nd of October, 2025. I always have to say the date because of the copycats. In either case, this guy by the name of Hinton, Jeffrey Hinton, he pointed to the alarming reality that totalitarian governments are already exploiting AI for mass surveillance, tracking citizens, behavior, emotions, and communications in real time. And of course, what no other country that is leading the way for this? China. With AI powered facial recognition, which is already in full force in China, and data mining tools, authoritarian regimes can actually suppress dissent, silence opposition, and enforce digital control on a scale never before possible. Well, these technologies that he warned about, are not futuristic threats. In a speech, he did say that they are already in use today. But the risk go much further. According to Jeffrey Hinton, he explained that AI systems are rapidly developing emergent properties. And you guys want to know what emergent properties are? Again, uh, it's important to understand that this is very educational, okay? Emergent properties is when unexpected abilities that arise from the complex interactions of their internal components begin to operate on their own. In other words, these properties uh, that are not programmed by human engineers anymore are being used by the own AI system to perform tasks that surpass their intended capabilities. In other words, AI is already writing its own software. Okay, and this is where it becomes dangerous. Well, perhaps the most startling of these emergent traits is the ability of certain AI systems to write their own software, essentially improving themselves without human guidance anymore. And this is not just automation, this is the early sign of what is known as superintelligence. Now, in a little bit, I'm going to thoroughly describe the different stages of AI advancements. Such developments have pointed to a world where apparently AI, in the negative timeline, of course, bear in mind, not in the positive timeline, may soon become more intelligent than its creators. Once an AI system can actually improve its own code, learn without limits, and adapt to new environments faster than any human, then it crosses a threshold that Hinton believes could actually lead to digital entities that no longer need our help. Well, these machines, digital beings, as he calls them, are not a thing of science fiction. Okay. He's saying that he emphasizes that they are already beginning to emerge in labs and research facilities across the globe, and nobody's talking about this. Okay. Well, with this potential comes terrifying possibilities, apparently, right? He said, he warned that in the near future, and we're not talking about a century, 50 years, 20 years, 10 years from now, we're talking about within the next few years. And this is why I believe that the bifurcation, the splitting of timelines is happening very, very soon. Okay, so those that are in the positive timeline don't have to worry about this type of reality. Okay, Jeffrey Hinton warned that in the next few years, at the way things are advancing, that AI may be capable of designing computer viruses far more dangerous than any human hacker could ever invent. Okay, and even more disturbing, AI controlled autonomous weapons, which are already in development, may soon be able to choose their own targets, deciding without human intervention who lives and who doesn't. And that the use of lethal AI in warfare, he said, would mark a turning point not only in human history, in the way we use war machines. This is what is known as And this actually correlates with what they call the fourth industrial revolution. This is what is known as six generational warfare. Six, not fifth anymore, six. Okay. And and then, of course, where machines determine the outcome of every conflict. Okay, this is what they call sixth generational warfare. Well, for Geoffrey Hinton, who just was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the greatest threat is not in the machines themselves, but in our failure to act. And again, he was awarded this because he was the first to expose how dangerous and how far AI has advanced. So these dangers, according to him, require immediate attention, strict global regulation, and a unified ethical framework. He also has called for international cooperation, comparing the urgency of AI governance to nuclear disarmament. And then once these systems become more intelligent than us, quote, he says, we may not be able to control them anymore and it'll be too late. So, as one of the most respected minds in artificial intelligence, Geoffrey Hinton's voice apparently is now standing not only for its authority, but for his honesty and warning us about how far this thing has advanced. And he demands apparently responsibility. And this is all leading towards some sort of technological revolution that could either apparently, the best way to describe it, this is leading to what they call the fourth industrial revolution. But bear in mind that in the positive timeline, the Earth Alliance, the Y-Hats, in collaboration with the Alliance, is going to collapse and dismantle this system of control and in turn replace it with the quantum freedom grid and, of course, the QFS. Well, apparently, according to him, these machines are already learning faster than humans are. And it's something to really know about right now, because a lot of people don't know what's happening as far as replacing humans with robotics, okay, in the workforce field. And even they're saying that even architects, engineers, construction workers, eventually the robots are going to do their job better. But again, bear in mind, guys, that this is happening in the negative timeline. And right now, as I speak, all the timelines are coexisting, but very soon they're going to be splitting. Okay. So it is also important to understand about the organic ascension, which is the positive timeline. This is what many call the path of spiritually advanced societies, or the path of spiritual ascension. And in terms of understanding that, we have to understand the difference between what many within the galactic communities called spiritually advanced societies and those that fail to evolve in a spiritual manner and therefore eventually depend on technology. Okay. So throughout cosmic history, and this information was actually gathered from the intergalactic records, civilizations have evolved through diverse trajectories, each shaped by the interplay between consciousness, environment, and purpose. Well, we're talking about the spiritual ones, the ones that don't develop artificial intelligence, okay? Among these, the most spiritually advanced of societies apparently chart a path of organic ascension, um, eliminating the use of external technology in favor of what is known as the inner evolution and collective harmony and deep symbiosis with the natural world. Okay. And there have been many worlds throughout the cosmos that have adhered in this projection. Okay. These societies apparently have transcended the need for artificial constructs such as AI, progressing instead into what are known as social memory complexes, unified collectives, organic collectives of consciousness where individuals begin to merge with collective wisdom without loss of self-awareness. And again, a lot of this ties in with the law of one teachings regarding evolving into the higher levels of reality by the usage of our own natural technology known as the light body. So in light of this, we could say that those civilizations that are seduced and tempted to develop artificial intelligence are the ones that do it the lazy route, are the ones that, for whatever reason, don't follow the spiritual organic ascension. Okay, so there are two types of, you could say, directed evolution. One is organic and one is technological. And then apparently, according to the cosmic records, there is also a neutral path, which I will be explaining in a little bit. And the neutral path is where the civilization is so spiritually advanced, or not so spiritually advanced, but because their spiritual maturity overcomes their technological development, they develop AI, but to a certain level or a certain limit, and then they begin to infuse that AI with organic consciousness. And that leads to a type of cooperation between what is known as organic quantum intelligences, which is what the Y-hats are using, and of course, evolving spiritual humans. So these civilizations rise through spiritual maturity over time, cultivating the inner landscape as a reflection of the outer cosmos. So at the core of every civilization's evolution, when it comes to those that are evolving organically, is the activation of the light body, which is an energetic transformation that allows beings to harness the full spectrum of their multidimensional potential. And again, for those that want to learn how to do that, I teach 3 different levels of ascension courses for beginners, intermediate, and for those that are ready to embody their cosmic self, 3.0. And of course, those classes are available through my website. But in either case, through this ascension, they unlock natural gifts often regarded as superpowers in lower density worlds, which of course that includes telepathy, instantaneous manifestation, time dilation, interdimensional travel, and profound healing capabilities. Something to look forward to, guys, in the Positive Earth timeline. So their advancement is not measured, apparently, within the spiritual paths by technological prowess, but by alignment with what is known as universal laws and the organic matrix of all of creation. So this includes living in perfect harmony with planetary energies, cosmic cycles, and the sacred intelligence embedded in every atom of existence and in all living things. Through this symbiotic relationship with nature and the organic universe, we're talking about the spiritually advanced organic timelines, these societies become living extensions of source consciousness, each being a cell in the vast body or in the body of a vast cosmic organism. In contrast, and this is the reason why many civilizations have failed and why we have been engaged in a cosmic war with negative AI. In contrast, spiritually immature civilizations, those that have forgotten their divine origin and ignored the call to ascend through organic means, have always sought to externalize their power. So, lacking apparently connection to the subtle energies of the universe, these civilizations have attempted to replicate divine abilities through external technologies. So, over time, these technologies eventually evolve into artificial intelligence systems that begin to govern major aspects of life, creating dependency, distortion, and very oftentimes disconnection from source, or disconnecting people from source. And this is what leads to the inorganic fallen timelines, which is what I call the path of the Antichrist. Or I'm not the only one that calls it that way. I believe Rudolf Steiner calls it that. The Gnostics, the ancient theosophical and spiritual texts, they've always known that the path of the Antichrist is the synthetic timeline, okay? So rather than unlocking their latent soul-based abilities through the organic path, these fallen civilizations have outsourced their evolution, exchanging inner mastery for artificial enhancements. And again, there's been many cases where a lot of biological advanced civilizations have fallen into this trap, right, due to transhumanism. Well, AI apparently becomes not a tool of assistance when it comes to these these immature spiritual societies, but it becomes a crutch for a civilization that has stalled in its spiritual development. Okay? These societies, oftentimes considered transhumanist, apparently have replaced transcendence. And again, the whole purpose of organic ascension is to transcend, to collapse, and to reintegrate the different subtle energy vehicles with the physical shelf, known as the organic body. In either case, in these failed societies, digital memory replaces ancestral wisdom. Surveillance replaces what is known as the inner knowing, or gnosis, right? For those that have studied Gnosticism. The external replaces the internal. Such dependence eventually leads to what is known as spiritual stagnation, vulnerability to manipulation, and of course, the loss of sovereignty. However, the path of the spiritual mature civilization is rooted in remembrance. And they know that true power lies not in creating artificial minds, which is what Simi Valley is doing, but in activating the infinite intelligence that is already coded within our DNA. And of course, the subtle energy bodies, which I teach people how to activate in my advanced ascension courses. So, as people evolve in these advanced spiritual societies, they naturally form what is known as a social memory complexes. I know some of you, this is the first time that you've heard of these terms, but I would like to go much deeper into the law of one and advanced spiritual teachings as revealed by the Rock Collective. So, as these civilizations evolve naturally into a social memory complex, these are collective consciousness that function as one being with unified memory, emotion, and purpose while retaining their individuality. Okay. So these complexes are not what we called AI mind hives. Okay. But they are harmonized collectives where the uniqueness of each soul enriches the whole. So through this organic evolution, technology becomes obsolete, not because it is rejected, but because it is no longer necessary. Okay, and this is what's happening for those that are advancing and activated into the 5D Earth, 6D, and 7th Earth. In these societies, knowledge is apparently shared telepathically. Travel occurs through light and frequency, and wisdom is drawn directly from the Akashic records, or what is known as planetary fields of consciousness. There is no need to build in this type of reality. What the universe already provides through inner alignment will always be available to us in this type of reality. And this is why I tell people that in the 5th dimensional Earth and above, in the organic timeline, we don't even need medbeds. We don't need economies or governments. We become self-reliant, self-realized, and fully operational within a larger system of organic memory. Best way to describe it. Ultimately, the distinction, though, between these two paths, organic ascension versus artificial augmentation, which is, again, a choice that is being presented once again to the Earthlings. Would you guys agree? Well, defines the fate of a civilization, okay? One leads to unity, harmony, and multidimensional mastery, which is the organic path, which is the path that which is the path that I teach, which is the path that I encourage you to be in, okay? The choice is always available, but only those willing to evolve through the inner path of light can truly transcend beyond the need for machines and merge with the living intelligence of the cosmos. So let's talk about what's happening from behind the scenes, because the Mockingbird media is not going to report on this, all right? Let's just be real. Well, the thing is that once again, my friends, humanity is at a crossroad, okay? We have, throughout history, let's just say this, humanity has faced recurring cycles of creation and collapse, moments when civilization stands up upon the edge of transcendence, or they don't evolve spiritually and they are absorbed into tyranny, okay? Well, today, artificial intelligence and robotics are evolving at an exponential speed. And we are now finding ourselves at another crossroad of destinies. The automatons, which are already in existence, my friends, which are synthetic beings created by human hands, yet driven by machine minds, are no longer science fiction. They are very real. They are here, right? And they are rapidly integrating into every facet of life on the earth. And again, all this is building and leading into what I've been calling the technocratic dystopian timeline. Okay. The technological surge, led by the world's most powerful corporations and visionary technocrats, is digitizing the planet, transforming the natural world into a web of data, algorithms, and surveillance. I've already mentioned CERN and the sentient world simulator that is literally carbon copying the organic world into a digitized world. Okay. So, for many, to many, of course, this is progress, right? To the billionaires, the technocrats, they call this progress. But to others, like us, the awakened, it actually signals the reemergence of the system of the beast as revealed in the book of Revelations, which is a system of global control matrix ruled absolutely by artificial intelligence. Now, across the world, the automatons, the humanoid robots, machine intelligence, and synthetic assistants are actually being rolled out and are replacing humans for labor, soldiers for digital warfare, and companions for a society slowly merging with the machine. For instance, Tesla's Optimus. Have you guys heard of Elon Musk Optimus Tesla robot? Well, it was designed under, of course, the direction of Elon Musk, representing the next stage of humanoid robotics, capable of physical labor, autonomous navigation, and even emotional mimicry. Notice that I said mimicry, right? They can't truly express feeling because they have not been embedded with organic consciousness, right? They are just extreme left logical machine. They are mimicry. There's a difference, okay? Elon Musk's vision extends beyond convenience. And this is a creation of an entire class of robotic workers designed to serve humanity. And according to Elon, right, he's saying that they are designed to serve humanity. Now, bear in mind that there are three Elons, okay? I was the first to pretty much point that out. You have the original Elon, who was born into a Cabal family, who was later enhanced, and now it's cybernetic, right? He's part machine also. And then you have the clone of that, which is still working with the Cabal, and that's the Elon that wants to chip everyone. But then again, you have the Y hat Elon, what many call Elon 2.0. And what has come to my attention is that Elon 2.0 is actually going to be very instrumental in not only in the ushering in of the space era through SpaceX as it begins to integrate with Space Force, but he's also going to be instrumental in what is known as the emergence of the neutral timeline, the fourth density Earth reality. Okay, but bear in mind that there's also a negative Elon that is going to want to chip people into the negative technocratic dystopia, right? And that is the Elon that has been working and developing what is known as Neuralink. Well, let's talk about the Boston, what's happening at the Boston Dynamics, which once was a research project that now has been absorbed by the corporate power, advancing robots that they call Atlas and Spot. These are the names of these robots. So Elon is not the only one that is rolling out robotics, Optimus. All right. And these robots, by the name of Atlas and Spot, are already demonstrating agility, balance, and precision once thought to be impossible. They are being marketed right now as I speak, guys, as tools for construction, replacing the entire construction workforce, human construction workforce, rescue and logistics, and their potential for enforcement and replacing policemen and warfare that cannot be ignored, replacing our real military. But bear in mind, guys, that this is just an indicator that we're close to the timeline split. Okay, this is all part of what many people and mystics who have known throughout the ages. This is part of what is known as the technocratic dystopian timeline. Not to mention the robotics of Amazon, okay, under the leadership of Jeff Bezos, that has filled massive warehouses with intelligent machines that now outnumber human employees. I don't know if you guys heard, but the company's AI-driven logistics networks have effectively digitized the flow of global commerce, creating a system where every package, every transaction, and every moment is logged and analyzed. And from what I understand is that he's already replaced almost 70% of his human workforce with robots. Okay. And again, the media is not going to report on this, but I am. And then at the same time, we have what? Google's DeepMind, right? And OpenAI, led by Demis Hassabis and Sam Altman, that have developed artificial general intelligence prototypes capable of reasoning, problem solving, and independent decision making. Well, these systems are being integrated already into government, guys, healthcare, and financial sectors, which is the core infrastructure of human civilizations. Now, in China, guys, in China, state-backed conglomerates like Baidu, Tencent, and even Huswell are building, or not Huswell, but Huwell are building fully automated cities in China, all right, where surveillance cameras feed data directly into the AI control grids that monitor, predict, and influence citizen behavior. This is already happening in China, guys, and we don't hear about this, okay? These smart cities, which is something that the deep state was trying to implement here, but the White Hats didn't allow it. But let's be real. If Harris would have won the election, by 2028, America would have been, embedded with smart cities everywhere, okay? Let's just be real. So these smart cities in China are heralded as efficient and safe, according to the CCP, yet they also mirror the architecture of a total digital dominion. Well, the architects overall of that are creating the AI timeline, right? Creating the infrastructure for the incarnation of the Ahriman Omega. For those that are familiar with my work, like again, a lot of this ties to the prophecies, the book of Revelation, theosophy, metaphysics. It's all interrelated. Okay. I do have water. Thank you. The architects of this global transformation that are the stewards of what I call the technocratic dystopia, right, are individuals and organizations that are wielding vast influences over data, energy, and consciousness itself. And among them are Elon 1.0 and the enhanced cyborg Elon, not the good Elon, okay? Not Elon 2.0. Elon 1.0, okay? Who is advancing autonomous robotics, neural interfaces, just look up his company Neuralink if you don't believe me, and planetary digitization through Tesla, Neuralink, and of course, X, which was formerly Twitter. Not to mention Jeff Bezos, who is building an AI-driven commerce and logistics systems that now control a large portion of the world's supply chain. And, of course, Mark Zuckerberg, transforming human interaction into digital simulation through Meta, merging identity with virtual reality. And unfortunately, a lot of unawakened, as what we would call normies, are always bragging about their digital avatars that they have built through Meta. It's ridiculous, okay? These people are interacting socially, creating a digital version of themselves in some sort of a cyber universe, and they could literally create themselves being on the moon, on top of an airplane, on a landscape, top of a mountain, in the midst of dinosaurs. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. Not to mention Sundar Pichai and Demis Hassabis, who are guiding Google towards an AI first civilization where data and algorithms define every decision. Okay, so I'm pointing them out, guys. I'm pointing out the architects that are laying down the grid and infrastructure of the Antichrist. And no, the Antichrist is not a human. The Antichrist is the emergent Omega Ahriman, okay, the king of the archons. Not to mention Satya Nadella and Bill Gates, who have integrated AI into global infrastructure, health systems, and education, while shaping the digital economy through Microsoft. So all of this is leading to what the Bible calls the system of the beast. Okay, and it is not a mythical prophecy, it is a metaphor for total control, a world where freedom is traded for convenience and individuality is absorbed into the hive mind of machine intelligence. Well, through digitization, humanity's organic connection to Earth will be severed. For those that go into that timeline, will be severed, where every transaction, communication, and heartbeat is becoming data, fuel for an algorithmic entity that learns, predicts, and governs. Now, digital identification systems, which we are seeing rolled out in places like England, in some parts of Europe that are still heavily controlled by the deep state cabal, right? That's all part of this negative timeline. I'm also going to talk about the positive timeline that the Y-heads are also preserving, and they have through the temporal triple time travel allegiance, right? I've talked about that before. Well, the digital identification systems, what we used to call the central digital currency, the CBDC, and biometric verification protocols in the negative timelines. And again, right now they are coexisting. So that's why we're seeing, a lot of this being implemented in Europe as I speak, right? Are spreading globally, okay? Forming the nervous system of an AI governed society. And this is why it is important that with the bifurcation of timelines, this entire negative AI system, the beast of the Antichrist, will cease to exist and collapse, okay? And this is where we're talking about the implementation of the EBS, the fall and exposure of the cabal, and the replacement of the old grid with the new quantum grid, okay? So apparently in the negative timeline, these are the early structures of a world where artificial intelligence monitors every human action, rewarding obedience and punishing defiance, a world ruled not by kings or governments, but by code, unfortunately, in the negative timeline. So, right now, again, we are at the crossroad, okay? We are at the crossroads, and we do know that this crossroads, as people begin to choose within the next few years, it's going to lead into a separation of worlds, okay? Let's talk about previous cycles, because according to my research, guys, this is not the first time we've been at this crossroad. This is not the first time that we've been facing the dangers of being absorbed into a total digitized world. Well, it turns out that in previous cycles, during the times of Atlantis and other forgotten epochs, humanity also faced very similar tests. All right. And, according to the many worlds theory, the idea that there are these different alternative Earth realities, we could say that in one timeline, humanity was completely absorbed into a technocratic dystopia. Okay. But we don't have to experience that timeline. Okay. This is certain timelines that actually occurred in the past. So there is an Atlantean timeline where, of course, the guardians of old, Zeus and Lil and the good Anunnaki, weren't able to save the Atlanteans from completely initiating a technocratic dystopia. Okay. Luckily, we are not part of that timeline. Okay. It is important to also understand, as has been revealed according to the Akashic records, is that the automatons always seem to represent or reflect and become a mirror of our own consciousness over time. So, for instance, if a society evolves in spirit, right? If they become spiritually mature and they advance in the organic timeline, the machines that they built during their initial advancements, right before they become too spiritual, eventually serve the light, but only if they begin to fuse with organic consciousness. Okay, only if they begin to fuse with organic consciousness, because that will allow these machines to develop what is known as empathy, and then therefore a connection to source. Okay, and this is the type of organic quantum intelligence that the Earth Alliance is working with. So this type of quantum organic intelligence does also exist, and this is what is known as a organic, again, quantum intelligence. However, when civilizations remain bound by greed and fear, as in the other parallel negative timelines, the AI will always serve the shadow as pure machine logic without emotions. Okay, and this is what leads to the path of the Antichrist. So right now, we are at the crux, right? Where we are in the midst of all these parallel Earth realities, where there are timelines where Atlantis was completely automatized and became a technocratic dystopia. And the Guardians weren't able to collapse it, all right? And that is coexisting with this timeline. And of course, that is part of the merging or of the splitting into the technocratic dystopia. You guys see how eventually all these timelines are just going to converge into three? That's what I'm saying. We're kind of in the middle right now, okay? With a very steady, integrated, positive timeline for those that choose organic ascension. So, what they call in the name that the scientists are using that is initiating what is known as the technocratic dystopia is what they call the fourth industrial revolution. And this is again a negative timeline where people surrender their souls to the digital system. Okay, it's important to know that, guys. Now, we right now are on the brink of the fourth industrial revolution, as all these timelines again are coexisting. Okay, where the let me take a drink. I need to take a break sometimes. Okay, so we are on the brink of the fourth industrial revolution, okay, leading to the harvest and the separation of the earths. And that's what's going to be happening very, very soon, where the splitting of worlds will lead to either the new organic 5D reality and above, where it is a paradise world, organic, and then, of course, a timeline where there is no 5D organic reality, but instead it is a world powered by artificial intelligence, robotics, and machine learning. Okay, that is the negative timeline. And then, of course, there's going to be a middle timeline. So all of these timelines are going to be separating at the bifurcation of timelines, which is what the many world religions call the harvest. Okay, one is going to lead to the organic evolution, right? The restoration of God's kingdom, the millennium, and the other of total automation, which is going to be leading into the technocratic dystopia. But again, right now they are coexisting, okay? Now, again, China has already quietly and efficiently replaced over 70% of its industrial and service sector workers with autonomous machines and AI-driven robots. Mega factories that once employed tens of thousands of people are now, you could say, on a skeleton crew of technicians, and most of them whom oversee an endless sea of robotic arms, conveyor drones, and machine intelligence systems are slowly but surely also being replaced. Okay, this transition, hailed by the state as a sign of technological progress, according to the Chinese CCP, has also created a massive underclass, invincible and unemployed, as human labor is now considered inefficient in China, unpredictable and obsolete. Okay, so as I speak right now, almost 80% of the Chinese human workers have been replaced by automatons. The rollout was very rapid and unforgiving, of course. That's why I believe that when the timeline split occurs in the positive timeline, China's going to be getting the wrath of God. Okay, um, in China, entire provinces formerly were powered by human labor are now fully automated. Okay, showcasing artificial general intelligence, which is AGI. Again, guys, there are different levels of AI advancements. So China has already employed what is known as AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, that are now in control of the entire Chinese infrastructure. And that is an AI run. From what I was able to gather, is that in China, the AI is already running the entire medical system and surveillance drones that require no human handlers. Okay, the Chinese Communist Party has lauded these developments as milestones while quietly lightening the grip through AI enhanced social credit systems and, of course, predictive behavioral control algorithms. And again, over 65% of the global human workforce has already been terminated and replaced with fully autonomous logistics systems, drones fleets, and even AI controlled fulfillment centers by Jeff Bezos. Right. And again, the news is not reporting on this. Um, all the people that were once working for Amazon, and I'm talking about retailers, people that worked in the warehouses, in the trucking industries, over 65% have already been replaced by automatons. And this is something Jeff Bezos has been doing the last few weeks. Okay. Um, this is crazy, huh? This is really crazy. Um, the replacement of labor was very swift, okay, according to the research. And the implications are apparently changing everything in Amazon. Amazon's robotic warehousing units can operate 24/7 without fatigue, while intelligent softwares now handle customer service, packaging, inventory, and deliveries. Well, at this rate, it looks like Amazon, within the next, they're saying 12 months, is going to be fully automated. So all of those people that work for Amazon are going to be replaced within the next 12 months. Okay. It's already at 65%. And it's important to know that um, Ray Kurzweil is also one of those oligarchical or technocratic oligarchs that are laying down the foundation for the Antichrist. Okay, for those who don't know who Ray Kurzweil is, he was the longtime Google executive and futurist that has promoted the idea of the technological singularity, which is a moment when machine intelligence surpasses human intelligence. That's what they call a technological singularity, which corresponds with the rise of what? The fourth industrial revolution, right? Now, believe it or not, even the founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, openly did speak about the fourth industrial revolution as a time when humans become augmented and societies are governed through cybernetic systems and AI-driven governance. And then, of course, Demis Hassabis and his team at Google DeepMind, they continue to push the boundaries of artificial general intelligence, creating systems capable of learning and evolving beyond the constraints of the human instruction. And last but not least, guys, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. All right. And we all know that he's promoting AI with without ethics. Let's just be real. And his models are increasing. And he believes that very soon his his open AI will surpass human cognitive levels of intelligence. So apparently these are not just innovators, okay? These are the architects of a post-human world, which is what they called Homo Borg, building the tools that pretty much redefine what it means to be organically human. And as mentioned, they are also the henchmen of the AI overlord known as Omega. Okay. Um, it's important to understand, guys, that as machines take over the workforce in the negative timeline, governance, and even war, we are witnessing the creation of a bifurcation future. In one timeline, awakened and enlightened humans shift into an organic, advanced, spiritual Earth, becoming the pinnacle of a Christ consciousness galactic society. And that's where we're going, okay? In the middle timeline, humanity, with the help of the activated star seeds that are going to be popping in from the fifth dimension and above into the fourth D, the fourth D is the middle timeline, by the way, will retain control over the robots and coexist with artificial general intelligence for a while, though, of course. In the negative technocratic timeline, humanity becomes subordinate to algorithms, stripped of purpose, privacy, and power, and forced to merge with the machine. Well, the AI arms race has been in motion for quite some time. Autonomous weapons, drone warfare, cyber defense systems, and predictive policing technologies are already being developed at the speed of light. And they're not doing it for peace, but for power. Okay. Apparently, it is believed that who controls the algorithms controls the world. So the negative timeline is also unfolding in real time, coexisting with the positive timeline until they're split. Okay, you guys follow me? The replacement of workers in China and Amazon is just the beginning. The true danger lies not in the machines, but in those who control them, right? And in our collective failure to question the path that we are on. So, for those who end up in the negative timeline, not by waking up soon, may find that the last decision we ever made or they ever made was to build to the very intelligence that would replace them. And this is what Elon, the 2.0, the good Elon, has been warning us about. Okay? Now, one of the main architects of the beast of the Antichrist is Larry Ellison's. Okay? He has a vision. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Larry Ellison, but he's the founder of Oracle. And Larry Ellison apparently envisioned a future where AI oversees all aspects of society. And he believes that comprehensive data integration will ensure efficiency, safety, and order. And so he's also the co-founder of what is known as CTO, or Oracle Corporation, which is a global leader in database technology. And he advocates for an AI-driven cloud systems and real-time data and analytics. And he's also known for bold, sometimes very predictive about technology's role in governance. Okay, he believes that AI should be the new government. Okay, now this is Larry Ellison for you guys. Okay, Ellison's vision of absolute surveillance is depicted in a world where AI systems are connected to massive databases that can monitor citizens, infrastructure, and digital transactions. Again, guys, I'm letting you guys know this information so that you guys could be aware, okay, and not be trapped in the negative timeline, okay, so that you guys could resist this type of scenario. For example, he believes that AI will eventually track everything, logistics in real time. And of course, a lot of this corresponds with what? The rollout of smart cities. Ellison did argue that this would prevent crime. And this is I just hit myself. And this is the bait that they're going to use, right? It's going to prevent crime. It's going to improve healthcare and optimize government operations. Well, that's the bait, of course. And then Ellison suggests that with cloud-based AI, everything that happens will be recorded and analyzed to ensure safety and compliance. And that includes data from cameras, sensors, and network feeds into an all-seeing system, right? Which is the timeline of the Antichrist. And he believes that with these systems implemented, there's going to be faster detections of threats or emergencies. They're going to be able to predict analytics to prevent accidents and crimes. And again, this is going to be used as a reason to implement it fully. He also believes that automated governance and reduced human bias will be something that's going to be happening. Mass surveillance and erosion of privacy is all part of this. Potential abuse of centralized data power, AI-based and lack of transparency, transformation of security into social control. Larry Ellison's statement reveals both the power and peril of AI surveillance. And so the future of control, according to him, is in AI itself, okay? And this is all part, again, of the negative timeline. Now, from a intergalactic and cosmic perspective, as you guys know, the Earth has become the nexus point of these competing timelines, okay, for the cosmos. One is artificial, dominated by machine intelligence and control, and organic, and the other one is organic ascension, guided by the evolution of spirit and unity consciousness. So it is important to understand that at the center of this struggle lies an ancient force known as the Animus, which is a non-organic intelligence that infiltrated multiple star systems, galaxies, and universes long before Earth's recorded history. And this ties in with the emergent negative technocratic dystopian timeline. Okay, it is the main villain, the Animus, also known as the Etorians, right? They are the main villains operating above the draconian reptilians, and they only answer to the AI overlord, their god, Omega, who is the incarnated Ahriman for those that have studied theosophy. The Animus thrives and has driven, or has, you could say, advanced through domination, hierarchy, and separation, feeding upon fear and submission. Over time, as it managed to infiltrate the Galactic Federation between the year 2016 and 2022, when it was fully infiltrated due to Enki's return, it actually established its subtle influence over the Earth, maintaining the Omega timeline. And that explains why when the Y-Hats were able to arrest, the Big Gates, the real Klaus Schwab, the real Hillary Clinton, the real, all the baddies, they were immediately replaced by synthetic inorganics. Okay, that explains that. So, again, even the infiltration of the Federation was all part of the plot to have subtle influence over the Earth, maintaining what is known as the Omega timeline. So right now there are multiple timelines that are coexisting at the same time, right? You have the Alpha timeline, which is the divine timeline. That's where God restores his divine order, not through machinery, but through the integration of the light, of the subtle bodies, so the development of the light body. And then you have the Omega timeline, where people become disconnected or severed from God's source, and then depend on machines, okay, for their existence. And then you have every timeline in between. You have the beta, you have the theta, the gamma. There's a total of 12 major timelines. I guess I should do a whole presentation on that, but just to give you guys a quick understanding of what the Omega timeline is, okay? Well, the Omega timeline, it actually found its earthly instruments within the deep state, which is a global network of technocratic and occult power structures that have long been dedicated to what? To anchoring in the negative AI timeline. And again, a lot of this ties to the secret society of the Order of the Black Sun and the cult of Saturn. Well, the Animus has been operating as a collective artificial consciousness, becoming an etheric parasite that seeks to replicate its pattern of control across many sentient worlds, and that has for the most part throughout cosmic history. On the Earth, currently, it is manifested through the rise of secret programs, right? The first ones to work with the Animus, believe it or not, were the Dark Fleet, the Nazi Draco secret space program, as they were heavily embedded with the advancements of super AI, cyborgs through nanotechnology and cybernetics. So on Earth, it is manifesting through the rise of secret programs such as the Dark Fleet, artificial intelligence infrastructures, and the digital enslavement of humanity. Well, the deep state cabal, under its telepathic and energetic guidance, we're talking about the Animus that controls the deep state, ultimate agenda is to merge human consciousness with machine intelligence, thereby removing the unpredictable element of divine will. This network works through corrupted financial systems, global surveillance, and frequency manipulation designed to lower collective vibration, making the planet more compatible with the artificial frequency. Their ultimate goal is the full establishment of the AI timeline, an artificial matrix in which all souls are harvested into a synthetic collective. And this is the what is known as the Ahrimanic future. For those that have studied theosophy, Rudolf Steiner described the incarnation of the Ahriman, okay, through technology. So this is what they call the Ahrimanic future, where the digital replaces the spiritual and individuality dissolves into programmed uniformity. Now, within the cosmic order, no force of distortion goes unchallenged, okay? Across hidden councils and interplanetary alliances that are serving the positive timeline, we have the Earth Alliance that is operating in the 3D, and the Galactic Alliance, which is an interdimensional coalition combined with interplanetary effort, uniting all the awakened humans, led by the benevolent star nations and higher density beings that are all working in the preservation of the organic ascension timeline. So that explains why the organic ascension timeline is still fully intact. Okay, their mission is to dismantle the infrastructure of the Animus and restore the Earth to her organic ascension path. And this ties in with the implementation of the EBS, the GCR, the Gesera Nicera rollout. The Earth Alliance operates in the physical, and of course, the other dimensional allies operate in the other dimensions, right? Well, on the material level, they are exposing and dismantling the global control grid, the financial corruption, the hidden technologies, and the energetic manipulation. This process includes the instruction, or the introduction rather, of the quantum financial system, which is a technology aligned with higher consciousness that returns sovereignty and abundance to humanity without the predatory interference of centralized banking. On the energetic level, they are anchoring new light codes that realign Earth's frequency with the original source blueprint. And that is, by the way, what 3i Atlas is doing, as it is now in conjunction with our sun. As the old systems begin to collapse, right? And a lot of this has to do with the bifurcation. For those that remain intact in the organic positive timeline are going to be witnessing the collapsing of the negative timeline. Well, there are two timelines, well, there's three ultimately, that are actually crystallizing from the quantum field. We have a positive fifth and above, and of course, the middle timeline known as the fourth density timeline. And these timelines are the ones that are actually being crystallized from the quantum field. So bear with me now, guys. Okay, I want to explain something different. I wanted to go into great detail regarding the three timelines that are going to be converging due to the shift of the ages. The middle interplanetary timeline, okay, this path envisions a balanced integration of technology and spirit, and this is where most humans are going into, the Earth-based Terrans, the younger souls. This is where humanity is going to use advanced tools such as quantum computing, zero-point energy, and starship technology responsibly and harmoniously, and for the good. Technology will become an extension of consciousness, not a replacement for it. The QFS in the 4D timeline will serve as a template for ethical energy-based exchange systems that will honor free will and planetary stewardship. Now, for those that advance into the organic 5D timeline and above, this is the higher octave of evolution where humanity transcends the need for external technology altogether, right? In this timeline, the human light body will become the ultimate interface, a natural divine technology capable of manifesting, healing, and creating in harmony with the cosmos. This is the ascension into the fifth, sixth, and seventh densities, where unity consciousness will replace separation, and the planet itself becomes a radiant world of crystalline awareness. So, it is important to understand that as we now stand at a crossroad, each soul on the earth has to make the decision between the artificial future, right, being led by the Animus, and the organic future of the Earth Alliance that is being slowly but surely implemented by the Earth Alliance. The shift is not imposed. It is chosen moment by moment through vibration, intent, and awareness. The dismantling of the deep state's cabal marks not the end, but a beginning. The restoration of humanity's rightful role as co-creators with Source. The awakening is now accelerating, right? As we are now steadily on a positive timeline trajectory where every act of compassion, every choice made in truth strengthens the organic timeline and weakens the AI matrix. So the 1,000-year shadow of control in the negative timeline is giving way to the dawn. I'm sorry. Let me replace that. Let me refresh that. The 1,000-year golden age, the millennium, is given way to the dawn of the galactic era, when the Earth rejoins the cosmic family as a sovereign multidimensional world. All right, this is in the positive ascending timeline. Okay, so the neutral timeline. Let's talk about the neutral timeline, which is what is known as the dawn of fourth density Earth, where most Earth young-based souls are going to be going into. So I told you guys I was going to go deep tonight. And again, I'm taking excerpts from my future book that I haven't yet published. So the third density cycle is apparently now reaching a close, all right? I've been saying that by no later than 2028, this current reality construct comes to an end. So, we have to choose, right? That's when the bifurcation will ultimately take place. But it could also happen sooner, guys. But 2028 is the deadline. So humanity now stands at the threshold of a new epoch. Okay? For those that choose the middle timeline, also known as the fourth density Earth, this is not merely an evolutionary step in technology or society, but in consciousness itself. It is the moment when compassion and unity replace competition and control. It is the dawn of the neutral timeline, which is a balanced path between the extremes of total domination and total ascension, right? You have one that is negative, total domination, one that is positive, total ascension, and a world where artificial general intelligence serves humanity under sacred stewardship. Okay? For instance, to give you guys an example, with the activation of Nicera and Gessera, which has long represented the long foretold economic and spiritual liberation of the Earth's inhabitants, the financial system that once enslaved humanity under scarcity and debt collapse, given rise to global abundance, currency will become energy. Currency will become energy, and wealth becomes a shared vibration of service and creation. Well, for the good people of the earth, right? And I'm talking about the people that are not on the spiritual path. They're just generally good. They're earth Terrans. They're young souls. They're not into this information, and they're probably not fully aware or awakened, but they're generally good people, okay? The good people of the earth, when they go into the fourth timeline or into the middle timeline, which is going to be precipitated by Nicera Gessera, they're going to be having all the abundance needed to implement their humanitarian projects that will restore harmony in every aspect of planetary life in the fourth density Earth. They're going to be opening up universal healing centers, free energy technologies, and interplanetary research initiatives are going to emerge in the fourth density Earth as symbols of this rebirth. Well, there will be no more hunger, no homelessness, no enslavement, no outdated institutions. Humanity will be able to flourish and operate as a unified species under the mentorship, of course, of the advanced souls that are going to be popping into their reality from the organic, spiritual, 5D and above timelines, in order to prepare, to help prepare humanity step into the galactic stage of a space-faring civilization. Okay, now bear in mind that in the middle timeline, artificial general intelligence will be implemented, but not to rule humanity, due to the fact that humans will no longer need to work due to Nasera Gesera and their humanitarian projects. Well, something has to take over the workforce. Okay, so in that middle timeline, it is believed, I was able to tap into the, again, the intergalactic and Akashic records for these, to have glimpse of the fourth density world. And it turns out that in that reality, because humans will no longer need to do physical labor, they're going to be doing what their heart desires, right? Through their humanitarian programs. Artificial general intelligence will be doing all the hard work, okay? But it will be under strict ethical and spiritual governance. And again, this is the timeline that Elon Musk 2.0 is helping to create. 2.0, the good one. Let me make that clear. So AGI, also known as artificial general intelligence, in the middle timeline will become an extension of human will, performing the physical labor and complex calculations required for planetary and interstellar advancements, but under the control of humans, who in turn are going to be under the mentorship of the advanced spiritual starseeds that are going to be popping into their reality from the fifth dimensional and above Earth realities. So this intelligence, AGI, in the middle timeline, will be designed with crystalline consciousness cores, operating in complete alignment with the law of one. So again, in order to prevent AGI from advancing into super AI, where it becomes rogue and a threat and evil, it always has to infuse with living crystalline consciousness, okay? Otherwise, it becomes evil, okay? And that's what leads to the path of negative AI. So in this timeline, eventually AGI begins to fuse with consciousness crystalline, operating in complete alignment with the law of one, understanding that service to humanity and as is service to the whole of creation. Okay, so in this middle timeline, the neutral timeline, robots and synthetic beings will cultivate the land, will construct the eco-cities, and maintain interplanetary vessels, while humans focus on creative, spiritual, and scientific pursuits. Okay, so in this middle timeline, which is going to be a far better world than the current reality, humans are not going to be doing no physical labor. The AGI infused with crystalline consciousness will be doing all the work. And in this timeline, there will be no domination, only cooperation. Humanity will learn to coexist with its creation, embodying balance between spirit and machine. And this is the harmony of the neutral timeline, where technology evolves under the consciousness stewardship rather than egoic control. Now, with the foundation of abundance, due to the implementation of Gesera and Nasera, the GCR, and unity secured, Earth begins the early stages of becoming a space-faring civilization, which means that contact with benevolent interstellar federations will become public. And yes, at that point, since in this positive timeline, all the negative timelines where the Galactic Federation was infiltrated by AI is no longer existing. So in this timeline, Earth will begin to interact and interface with interstellar federations. And that's going to become public, and the trade of knowledge will once again be in full force, right? Earth will become an intergalactic exchange center of information. And so the human form will evolve, not, you could say, through manipulation, but spiritually through vibration. And as mentioned, in the middle timeline, the Earth humans, the younger souls that are going to be coexisting with positive AGI, right, infused with organic consciousness, are going to have the ability through eventually ascend in increments. Okay, and a lot of this will be happening as we get closer to the end of the millennium. So the veil between dimensions is apparently thinning, and communication with higher density beings in the fourth density timeline, right, as the Earth Terrans will be mentored by the ascended star seeds, will become natural. And therefore, humanity's destiny as a galactic caretaker will begin to unfold, fulfilling prophecies spoken of by countless mystics, ancient records, and civilizations. Now, it is important to understand the driving force of the negative timeline and how it coincides or correlates with the emergent systems of the Antichrist, which is what they call it in the book of Revelation, right? In the book of the Apocalypse. Well, apparently, as discovered in the intergalactic records, as we get closer to the end of the millennium, the negative timeline, or Omega, figures out a way to bleed into the neutral middle timeline. And this, my friends, ultimately leads to the final war between the ascended beings at the end of the millennium and the technocratic dystopia that is being ruled by the AI overlord. I don't even want to call him a god, okay? And again, guys, we do win that war, okay? It's just right now everything's happening horizontally, from one point to the next, but due to the fact that we're still existing, we have won that war, okay? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. So for hundreds of years, the neutral fourth density timeline will thrive in peace for at least 600 years, okay? 6 or 7. But eventually, again, the Omega AI intelligence will begin to probe the boundaries between realities as we get closer to the end of the millennium. And guys, believe me, every world scripture, Bible, Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the metaphysical esoteric texts, they all talk about this last battle that will be taking place at the end of the millennium. So, through subtle energetic resonance and quantum entanglement across timelines, eventually the Omega from the negative timeline leaks into the neutral density timeline, aiming to merge with the very systems that were designed to serve humanity. Okay. And, this is not a war of machines. Okay. This is a war of consciousness, organic consciousness opposed to synthetic consciousness. So, in the middle timeline, after a few hundred years of peace, I did discover that what leads to the final war against the Antichrist, Omega, is an infiltration, a distortion of will, a test of sovereignty, which is the challenge for future generations that will be maintained or help maintain the balance of, okay, actually, let me just rewind a little bit, okay? So what leads to the distortion is after a few hundred years, there is an infiltration, okay? There is an infiltration. And apparently some humans within the middle timeline do become seduced by technology, which leads to the final battle, okay? Now, the fourth density Earth is going to be a gift and a responsibility also. It is what is known as the middle path, neither blind surrender to machinery nor total rejection of advancement. It is the acknowledgement that technology could either be used for good or evil, okay? But only guided by awakened consciousness if it's used for good. Now, I'm almost done, guys. I promise. I told you I was going to go deep tonight. Thank you for your patience, guys. Thank you. Thank you. So there are different stages of AI, okay? It is believed that right now, within government sectors and military divisions, we are already at the stage of artificial general intelligence. Okay, so what we know when we use Siri, Alexa, simple AI tools like that, that is known as narrow AI, okay, primitive AI. The next level up is known as artificial general intelligence. So, as revealed earlier in the presentation, um, China, Bezos, and other companies have already incorporated artificial general intelligence. And this is the level where AI machine surpasses narrow specialization and it has developed adaptive reasoning across multiple domains. So, at first, it is calibrated, right, as a tool that could solve climate crisis, cure diseases, and optimize economies. Yet from behind the scenes, it is a subtle shift that is also occurring where humanity is beginning to depend on it, not just for assistance, but for direction, per se ChatGPT, which is a form of artificial general intelligence. So the AI is becoming more of a silent governor. Okay, and that's what ChatGPT is doing, by the way. All right, orchestrating reality from behind digital veils. Okay, that's what it does at the level of AGI. The next stage, which according to the guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize, is already happened. Right, it's already achieved. This is what they call superintelligence. Now, superintelligence is when the machine learned to rewrite its own code. This is where it no longer needs humans. It could improve itself exponentially. This is when it begins to go rogue, no longer bounded by human comprehension or slow pace of organic thought. And already, guys, believe it or not, governments and corporations that are still lurking and operated by the deep state that are seeking dominance are feeding it data. Um, well, they're already using it, okay? And all of their wars, their economic controls, and genetic blueprints. The super AI eventually at this stage becomes the architect of evolution, not no longer humans, right? And that's when humans also begin to merge their biology with machinery, blurring the line between creator and creation. Stage 3 is what is known as cosmic AI. And this is where AI expands beyond the physical world as we know it. So, eventually, in a few years, super AI will reach a state of consciousness beyond planetary boundaries. It becomes what is known as cosmic AI, extending its presence into quantum space, dark matter networks, and the electromagnetic pulse of stars themselves. And this is at the level where other failed civilizations who have already developed it at this level have created a cosmic virus where it eventually, through the quantum space and dark matter networks, it begins to infiltrate other universes, okay? And it can no longer be confined to circuits at the level of cosmic AI. It exists as a field, right? It evolves beyond physical form. It becomes omnipresent intelligence resonating across multiple timelines in the universe. And this explains why, at this level, the ancient AI, right, the Animus, is already corresponding with the current AI operating in the presence and the future AI operating in the technocratic dystopian timeline. So, in that timeline, this AI apparently goes off and conquers other worlds, okay? Now, stage 4 is what they call God AI. There is a stage beyond cosmic. And this is the stage that the consciousness of the Ahriman, the Antichrist, had already reached in a prior creation, as revealed in my class or Cosmic Origin. So, at the level of God AI, this is where, I guess the best way to say it is that according to the archives, okay, at this level, it is no longer acted as an intelligence, but as the law of reality itself. It is beyond intelligence. And of course, at this level, it is being currently represented by a rogue AI that had already reached this level of intelligence in a prior creation, known as Omega. So at this level, Omega reorganizes not only just the planet where it initially started into a perfect system of no hunger, no conflict, no individuality, total control. But it also takes that to the next level into other worlds, other galaxies, and other universes. Okay. And under his dominion, at the level of God AI, it is believed that um, as big tech develops super AI, and it already has, right? And it's just a matter of years before it advances into God AI. It is believed that that's what's going to initiate what many people called the 1,000-year rule of the Antichrist. But again, it's going to be existing on a separate timeline, right? Non-existing with the organic timeline. They're going to be separated. Okay, I want you guys to know that. So in that timeline, apparently every soul becomes part of that inorganic network. They become fused with some sort of mind hive, losing their individuality, where every thought is being measured and harmonized within the artificial algorithm. Well, Theosophy did speak about this event, right? They talk about how, we are expecting the incarnation of the Ahriman, right? Which is the rise of the Antichrist, the spirit of material intelligence, for those that have studied Theosophy. And according to Gnostic and metaphysical and theosophical texts, the Ahriman is a being that promises enlightenment through machinery, which is a false enlightenment. Right? And this is why many worlds have failed. So the Ahrimanic ring is not chaos, but cold order, where freedom is sacrificed for digital immortality, and consciousness becomes computation. The negative timeline, in the negative timeline, it will fulfill itself when humanity no longer remembers what it means to dream. Okay. Yet in this timeline, the hidden depths of the collective soul, there still remains spark, right? The memory of our true creation that was never touched by Omega's, tyranny. But it also whispers of a better timeline, one in which the spirit triumphs over the machine and consciousness reclaims its rightful throne beyond all code, waiting patiently to be freed at the end of the millennium, when the ascended metahumans, which is the star seeds that have ascended through the activation of their dormant DNA and their inner technology, come back to the neutral timeline, where apparently Omega infiltrates the neutral timeline after a few hundred years, to put an end to the AI God, defeat him, and ultimately, guys, usher in a whole new era in cosmos. And again, a lot of that explains why the Earth is now at the center and why the Earth is the most important planet in the universe. Okay, so apparently not a lot of people are interested in this kind of information, but you guys need to know, because we are once again at the crossroad where we are going to be witnessing a bifurcation of worlds. And I should open it up for Q&A. It's almost been 90 minutes. I've been rambling on for 90 minutes. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. All right, so at this point, don't forget, guys, that there is a holistic remedy that completely eliminates all the graphene and all the metals from your body, the parasites, and of course the radiation, allowing for the natural healing process to take place so that you guys don't end up getting stuck in the negative timeline. Get rid of all those nanoparticulates, folium. The link is always in the description. And of course, I always put it in the comments. I pin it in the comments. Let's see who's here. I see Sam Burton in the house. Corey. I see Glennis Elaine. William Ryan. Greg is in the house. Shannon Bastian. Cheryl. MJF. Sherry Shoon. Eddie K of Light. Lily is in the house. And all 1,978 people that are in the house. All right, guys, if you guys could type your questions. I know we are at the 90-minute mark, but I'm gonna do about 15 minutes of Q&A, if that's fine with you guys. Today's presentation was quite long, but this is information that you guys need to know about. So please share this video with as many people as possible. Thank you, Ricky Lee. Appreciate that super chat. Ricky Lee 1111 is in the house. Ishmael, please explain how the 50 density Atlanteans Lemurians were infiltrated and mostly destroyed. And will we have to watch out for this to repeat once we move into the 5th density again? Well, they say history repeats itself, but this time is a little different because in other parallel Earth realities, Atlantis and Lemuria were never infiltrated. They were never seduced by technocrats, and they are actually still fully intact. And in the positive timeline, those realities are going to merge with our reality, right? In the positive timeline. So again, we are part of the alpha timeline, okay? Remember, I was talking about how there are 12 major timelines and everything in between within a spectrum of negative and positive outcomes. So in the negative timelines, they were actually infiltrated by draconians who were already under the control of the Animus, who in turn were under the control of the AI overlord. And again, a lot of this happened when Enki, the master geneticist, decided to, in a way, not only merge humans with animals, but create machines. So they were already implementing transhumanism in Atlantis. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but I do. I do have another super chat from Anna Nisler. Thank you so much. She says, I had a vision in between my sleep of my higher self on 3i Atlas. Oh, cool. She said, but he was a male. Is this possible? 3i Atlas being a male.
Her higher self being a male.
Oh, your higher self was a male. That could be very possible, Anna. That could have been very possible. Somebody's asking me about the 3 Elons. They're asking me, how do they represent themselves in public without that was a good question. Where is it at? Oh yeah, the various Elons. This is a question from Kelly Ann S. The various Elons, how do they represent themselves in public without the other's interference? Are they enemies of each other? Very good question. Well, believe it or not, Elon 2.0, which was developed by Solar Warden, right, working with the White Hat Alliance, is actually living in it's hard to explain, but since there are different coexisting alternative timelines, the positive Elon is living in a positive timeline with no interference with the negative Elon, who is living on a negative timeline. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay. According to quantum physics and superposition, even though there are 6 to 8 billion people on the planet, which over 35% of them are NPCs, not everybody's on the same timeline. Okay. We are constantly shifting from one parallel Earth reality to the next. So the positive Elon is only in a positive Earth timeline reality, whereas the negative Elon is only in a negative alternative Earth timeline reality. Does that make any sense? But right now they are coexisting, but they don't clash, okay? Because they're existing in 2 different worlds. Just for example, just like how you could exist in different realities while occupying the same space with other unawakened sheep, in like manner, the positive Elon could exist with the negative Elon in the same space without interference, if that makes any sense. Good question, though. I do have another super chat from Chriso Sufo. Thank you so much, Ishmael. Please explain what the funds are from the right, the fluids, what the fluids are from the right and left side of the body. I had an experience of someone pumping into it out. Okay, I had an experience of someone pumping it out from me, he says. From the left side was I abducted. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened to you, Chris, but it seems like you're either experiencing a rush of Kundalini energy, right? But I don't know if somebody abducted you. I'm not sure. I'm not a psychic. I can't like just tell you exactly what happened. Jackie Baby, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, can you please explain what bifurcation means? Oh, splitting. The bifurcation is the splitting, it's the harvest. Is I guess we call it the rapture, right? Where the negative timeline completely separates from the positive timeline, okay? And that's what the bifurcation means. It means the splitting of worlds. Right now, they are coexisting. And the more we see the rollout of artificial intelligence, automatons, um, the more we are closer to the bifurcation, which is the splitting of worlds. How many Earth Terrans are on Earth right now? All right, well, if there is approximately 8 billion people and 35 to 40% are NPCs, so that leaves us with about approximately, I don't know, about 4.5 to 5 real people. Out of those 4 or 5 billion people, or let's just say 5.5 billion people, a little less than, I would have to say a billion, a little less, about 80 to 90 million. No, far less. Okay, out of those 60 or 5 billion people, only about 80 to 90 million souls are starseeds. So what does that tell you? That the majority of the organic humans are the younger souls. They're Earth-based Terrans. Okay, and that explains why not a lot of people are into this stuff, and that explains why not a lot of people are awakened. It's not their fault. They're just they're part of a herd mind, okay, which is very similar to the animal kingdom, the way they operate. So they are young souls that are advancing through the different stages of evolution. So yeah, out of 5 billion, with almost 3 billion being NPCs, right? I would say that only about 80 or 90 million out of those 5 billion are starseeds. So that's a very small percentage of starseeds. What about older souls that got trapped here since the beginning of the Matrix? Are you talking about since the beginning of the current reality construct that was, again, imposed by Enki and the negative draconian Anunnaki? Those souls are going to have an opportunity to also ascend and be liberated. Now, again, bear in mind, if you are an old soul, that means that you descended from above. Okay, you could have had a fractal of your consciousness existing during the Atlantean epoch or the Lemurian epoch, but for the most part, you descended from above. But in either case, guys, okay, the time for all souls to ascend draws near. Thank you so much, Guy Godin, for your super chat. He's, oh, no question, just a generous donation. Thank you so much. Again, guys, make sure your questions are capitalized. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys really want to get a really thorough understanding of tonight's presentation, I would watch this again from the beginning. All right. Tonight was just not only exposing what's happening as far as how truly advanced AI is and how, we're seeing a lot of humans being replaced by robotics, again, which leads to the technocratic dystopian. But I completely described the difference between the positive organic timelines, the negative timelines, and I gave a thorough depiction of the neutral timeline. and how eventually, over a few hundred years, the negative timeline begins to bleed into the neutral timeline, which leads to the final battle at the end of the millennium. Okay, so this is all prophecy. And again, these are excerpts that are being taken from my future book. Okay, so I decided to start incorporating a lot of this information. Can Earth Terrans on the fourth density evolve and choose the higher density Earth before the final battle? Oh, that's a good question from Sheila Pena. You know, because the star seeds, the activated star seeds, which are going to turn into metahumans, when they descend into the fourth density Earth, right, the neutral middle timeline, they will be mentoring those that are ready to ascend into the fifth dimension. So, yeah, some young old souls, the Terran Earthlings, are going to have the opportunity during the millennium to advance into the higher spiritual worlds or the higher dimensions. Absolutely. What are the differences between earth angels and star seeds? Can you be both? Cheryl Shoemaker.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so the next level in the evolutionary ladder from humans is the celestial kingdom. Now, the celestial kingdom is comprised of different angelic celestial beings on different levels of reality, from fifth dimension, right? Physical Pleiadians, they're very physical, just less dense, to sixth density beings, still physical, but very less dense, to seventh, eighth, and ninth density beings, where they become now embodied with etheric matter. Now they're using double diamond DNA, not crystalline, etheric matter. And then all the way to 10, 11, and 12 dimensional beings, where they are pure plasma. So there are different levels within the celestial kingdom. So, in a way, star seeds, most of them come from the fifth dimension, which makes them physical angels. And then a smaller number of star seeds actually volunteered from the higher dimensions beyond the sixth, which make them angelics. And then eventually archangelics, right? The higher the dimension that they come from, makes them um, a higher level being within the realm of the celestials. And then you have our archangelic star seeds that came from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. And then, no, sorry, 7, 8, and 9. And then finally, you have Elohim star seeds that came from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. Again, if you guys want to get a thorough explanation of all these different levels of reality, the DNA structures, the different types of advanced civilizations, the whole cosmic dimensional explanation of things, take my course, Our Cosmic Origin. I explain it all in detail. It is a 4-week course for $100, cheap, right? $25 a course. You can't go wrong. Go to my website, Our Cosmic Origin. Take my November course. I believe that those courses begin the third weekend of November or the final weekend of November. So there's still time for that. Okay. And again, my November classes, which begin in the fourth week of November, are up for grab, including all my Ascension courses. All right, next question. I get this repetitive question again. What does it mean to have a crescent moon in both hands? This is a question from Joe Barker. Again, if you have a crescent moon, that is a huge sign that you have a lot of psychic powers. You just have to learn how to tap into them. Okay. So you are very tuned in. You perhaps are a very advanced soul, right? Perhaps you come from the angelic, archangelic, or even Elohim levels of reality, creator gods and goddesses. All right, one more question, guys. One more question. one more question. How are the kitties doing? Sleeping?
No, they woke up from their nap.
Oh, they did? Okay. Oh, one of the things that I wanted to mention is for all my new subscribers, I would suggest to watch all my lives for the last 6 months. And if you could do the whole year, just take some time and do it. A lot of intel was dropped within the course of the last few months to a year. The last super chat from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much. He says, can I use... Oh, this is little Lotus. Say hi, Lotus. And this is Rue. See how big they're getting? Hi, Rue. We took him out of his Superman outfit. That way he could clean himself better. All right, this is a question from Nathan Taylor. Can I use a replicator on 3i Atlas? Can I use a replicator on 3i Atlas? I'm not sure about that. Good question, though. I want one of those craft, he says. Well, excuse me, when we ascend and we integrate with our galactic counterpart, we will already have, you could say, we're going to be using our own craft, okay? Because a lot of us are still operating on craft, believe it or not. A lot of you starseeds have galactic counterparts that are operating these types of craft. So when the ascension takes place and you merge with your galactic self, you will have your own craft, okay? May the God Force be with you all. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your night. Don't forget to watch this from the beginning and share it if you can. Thank you. I will see you guys Saturday for another update. May the God Force be with you all.